But we need to authorize first.
I've got 10 o'clock, and we barely have a quorum. I'll better get started before somebody leaves. If everybody had a chance to look at the agenda,
Yes.
there's no addition to anything. How anything? A motion to approve the agenda.
So moved. Second.
Properly moved and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Agenda is approved. Next one, committee reports. ACAT. Jane?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. ACAP met this past Monday, and we did have a quorum. And I'm also happy to announce that we had Dr. Frank Lala attend. I think we're trying to get him as a permanent member of the committee. He represents the deaf community, and we've been trying for quite a while to get representation from the deaf community, and I think Dr. Lala has agreed to do that. So we're happy to have him aboard. We endorsed the TIP amendment and the Unified Planning Work Program, and that's about it. Thank you.
Any questions of Jane? CAC. Christopher's not here.
Okay. I can cover for CAC. They just voted for the TIP amendments and the UPWP, and both endorsed both items.
Okay. TCC, I don't see. Pam, oh, there you are.
Good morning. The TCC met on Thursday, February 7th, and the action items that we had were similar to the ones that we have on the agenda today. We did review the results from the call for projects, and we had a good discussion of what projects could best use the available funds for each year. The committee then agreed on the proposed TIP amendments to distribute the funding and voted to endorse all of the proposed action items. That's all. Thank you. Any questions? Okay.
Any questions? Okay. And Mark, director's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Since the board's last meeting, the Metropolitan Transportation Plan, or MTP Working Group, which is a subcommittee of the TCC, has met twice on January 24th and February 7th to review travel demand model results, including Network 4, which includes all committed projects and STIP projects, and also Network 5, which includes identified projects to address projected transportation needs through 2045. This has resulted in essentially a fiscally unconstrained list of projects that has been modeled for the plan update. At the next meetings on March 7th and 21st, the working group will begin to prioritize projects for the fiscally constrained project list, which will become ultimately the draft Metropolitan Transportation Plan. We do plan to bring that back to this board at your next meeting. We have also reconvened the EDFAC, or Economic Development and Freight Advisory Committee, as of February 7th. This was our first meeting since the completion of the MPO Freight Plan. Pamela Bernard was elected chairman of the committee. We gave the committee a briefing on the MTP update, the ongoing interchange studies, and had a dialogue with them about freight projects that are currently on our radar, what may be coming up, and solicited their input on initiatives that they're aware of. We'll continue to engage them during the plan update process during the first half of this year, and they will help us confirm priorities for the Metropolitan Transportation Plan. We're also continuing to make progress on the interchange studies with the help of the Airport Authority. We just hosted 4 stakeholder meetings with government staff and business representatives out in the I-95 Airways Avenue area. We've also completed the traffic data report for the I-16 Little Neck study and submitted it to GDOT. On today's agenda, we have the results of our recently completed call for projects for transportation alternatives or Z301 funds, and also surface transportation block grant funds. And we'll have detailed presentations for you on that later. And that's my report.
Any questions?
I just want to say I love that phrase, financially unconstrained.
It's what we can afford and everything we wish we could afford. So we start from there, and then we start the painful process to pare it down to what we can include in the official plan.
Something I'm becoming more familiar with every day.
You're at the city, right? Yeah.
If there's no further questions of Mark, then if everybody had an opportunity to look at the meeting minutes from the December 12th meeting, and if there's no corrections or amendments or anything to it, I'll entertain a motion to approve. Properly made and second if we approve the minutes from the December 12th meeting. Any discussion? Hearing none, any readiness? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Minutes approved. Next, we have amendments to the fiscal year 2018-21 Transportation Improvement Program and TIP, and we're going to hear now from Ms. Wang.
Okay. We advertised for public hearing, so I will just follow the process by stating what is MPO, what is TIP first, and then I will give the presentation. The Coastal Region Metropolitan Planning Organization is responsible for transportation planning in the Savannah region. The purpose of an MPO is to ensure federal spending on transportation for urbanized areas of over 50,000 people occurs through a comprehensive, cooperative, continuing process involving the public, a wide range of agencies and policymakers. And what is the TIP? The Transportation Improvement Program is the Metropolitan Planning Organization's short-range programming document and is a staged multi-year listing of surface transportation projects proposed for federal, state, and local funding within the metropolitan area. All transportation projects must appear in an approved long-range transportation plan and TIP before they may receive federal funds for implementation. And next, I will just summarize the TIP amendments. So the TIP can be amended when priorities or schedules or funding levels change. The reason that we're doing this TIP amendments, this is actually a follow-up to the February to the December item. Remember, we decided at the time, CoreMPO board actually told us it's okay to conduct the call for projects because we have two pots of money that need to be reallocated, and federal requirements says that we have to conduct a competitive project selection process before we allocate funds and program the projects. So the first part of the money is the transportation alternatives funds, or these three funds. In terms of the dollar amount, we have about $1 million available in 2019, $1 million available in 2020, and $1 million available in 2021. And these funds, particularly the 2019 funds, if we don't use these funds, they will lapse. That means they will go away. The reason that we have this much money available is because some of the projects that previously got these funds cannot use them and return them to the pot. And then all of the money have like a 3-year period. You have to use them. If you don't use them, they lapse. They are gone. So in order to prevent that, we need to conduct a call for project and hopefully allocate all these funds and then spend the funds before they can go to other areas or go back to the federal pot. The second part of money we have is the 2019 Surface Transportation Block Grant Funds, or STBG, or we call Z230 funds. It's about $1.1 to $8 million. The reason for this is because we have 2 Millennium Park Trail Phase 2B, which is the city project, construction phase programming in fiscal 2019. But the project schedule indicates that it's still going into concept development and preliminary engineering phase. The construction wouldn't be ready in 2021. So GDOT cannot authorize the funds. So the city has to give up these funds and release it for use by other projects, and then pursue other funding sources for this project. So this is what we did for the call for projects. We started the call for projects on December 12th, and then we received the application. All of the TCC members about, I think, 9 of them or 10 of them scored the applications. And then we have the project ranking. And then we have the TCC meeting actually at the February 7th to review all the applications and award the projects. And then I prepared the tip amendment staff report based on the TCC recommendations. And then for all of the tip amendments, the requirements that we have to have a 15-day public comment period. So we are going through the 15-day public comment period, and this is the last day. And if the MPO board approve all of the proposed amendments, and we will finalize it and then get the reports to GDOT, they will start the funding authorization process. So hopefully the 2019 funds will be authorized by June 30th, because we only have between now and June 30th 4 months to spend that money, to authorize the funds. So for the Z230 Transportation Alternatives Corporate Project, we received the 5 applications. And as you can see, the TCC rankings over here, TCC ranking and TCC scores. So Chatham County 2 Millennium Park Trail Phase 2A ranked number 1. City of Savannah's 2 Millennium Park Trail Phase 2B ranked number 2. And City of Savannah's De Lesseps Avenue ranked number 3. And the Savannah Airport Commission Pedestrian Bicycle Way Project and the Tybee Islands Marshland Trail tied in number 4. In terms of applying for funds, 4 projects applied for funds in fiscal 2019. So we have about $1 million available. The total applied funds is like $2.6 million. So you see that we have a negative balance. So what the TCC decide is, okay, before we do that, we actually consulted with GDOT, and GDOT was saying the Savannah Airport Commission project and City of Tybee Island project, it takes them about 9 months to go through the GDOT process. But we need to authorize this like $1 million by June 30th. And the top 3 projects are already in our system, already in the tip. So they already go through the GDOT process. So particularly the first one is construction ready. So we need to authorize the funds pretty soon. So what the TCC recommend is to split the fiscal 2019 funds between these 2. So the 2 Millennium Park Trail Phase 2A, and this one is ready to for construction, and then the 2 Millennium Park Trail Phase 2B, because this project construction is not ready, but this needs additional preliminary engineering funds. So TCC recommendation is to split the fiscal 2019 between these 2, so you can see Phase 2B get the required amount, and then the Phase 2A get part of this $1 million, and then the rest will be supplemented by the Z230 funds. For fiscal year 2020 funds, City of Savannah, De Lesseps Avenue is the only applicant, so it has no competition over there. It gets all of the funding, $1 million over there. And at the same time, because this project is supplemented by the Z301 funds, it will release some Z230 funds for use by other projects. And then for fiscal 2020 funds, 2 Millennium Park Trail Phase 2B really doesn't have any competition because this is the only project who is applying for fiscal 2020 funds. So we have this summary over here. 2019 funds split between the top 2. 2020 goes to De Lesseps Avenue. 2021 goes to 2 Millennium Park Trail Phase 2B. This is the Z301 funds. The next part for the Z230 funds, we also got 5 applications. The top one, ranked the top 1 by TCC, is the Chatham County 2 Millennium Park Trail Phase 2A. Number 2 is CAT ITS, and number 3 is CAT Electric Bus, and then Tybee Island Marshland Trail and Savannah Airport Commission bike path project ranked number 5. So as I mentioned, the fiscal 2019 funds we got to spend. We got authorized funds by June 30th. So TCC recommendation is to we would just award the funds to the construction ready one. So the Chatham Parkway, 2 Millennium Park Trail Phase 2A, it got part of the 301 funds already, but that is not enough. So they will get the additional $491,000 here from the Z230, and then the rest will go to the CAT ITS because it says ranked number 2, but it will get more than $328,000 over here requested because the total project cost is actually $2 million. So we decided not to split this between CAT bus and ITS. We just award the rest of them to the ITS project. As you may remember that we awarded some Z230 funds, Z0 funds to the Lesseps Avenue, about $1 million in 2020. So we didn't do another call for project. TCC decided, since we already done 2 call for projects in 2017, I-16 at 307 ranked number 1. The CAT bus ranked number 7. So TCC decided instead of doing another call for project, we would just vote between these 2 projects to see which one got it. So by TCC vote, I-16 at 307 got 5 votes, and CAT bus got 4 votes. So basically, the 2020 funds released from the Lesseps Avenue will go towards I-16 at 307 construction. Any questions so far?
Before you get into the questions, does that conclude your remarks?
No, I actually have a detailed financial information over here for the next slides.
Okay.
So I can just go through those. So this is basically the picture. TCC recommendations are based on the project ranking and then the funding allocation, the balance. So for number 1, 2 Molina Park Trail, Phase 2A project, the total project cost increased. So currently it's 4.9, but latest cost estimate is $5.4 million. So we have a cost increase by about $450,000. But since this project got additional help from additional federal Z230 funds and the Z3 funds, and that will increase cover its additional cost in fiscal 2019. For federal portion, it's about $1.3 million. And then also reduce the local match. Previously, the local match over here is about 40%. But with this help with additional federal dollars, we can reduce the local match to 20%. And for 2 Molina Park Trail Phase 2B project, this is the City of Savannah project. As I mentioned, they need additional help in fiscal 2019 for preliminary engineering phase. So we actually awarded them this amount. So with the match is about $194,000. And then the construction is not ready in 2019. So we moved the construction from 2019 to 2021. The cost estimate in the current TIP is out of date. It's $1.4 million. The actual cost is about $4.4 million. So this is based on the consultant latest development. So currently we will have, they get the $1 million in fiscal 2020. So the city will pay probably $3.39 million in 2021. But when we have additional funds available, we can apply for other funds, just like the 2 Molina Park Trail Phase 2A. For the Lesseps Avenue, the total project cost estimates actually doesn't change. So utility construction is about $5.6 million total. Utility, we are not going to touch it. So we are just supplementing Z230 funds with Z001 funds, the transportation alternative funds, because this project has pedestrian sidewalks and is eligible for 301 funds. That means it will release part of the like $1.1 million to use by other projects. So basically, no change to cost estimates. So we're just changing the combination of the funding sources. And then the I-16 at 307 project, and also the total cost estimate doesn't change in 2020. It's about $20 million. So we are just changing the composition. So we're adding about $1 million federal portion in fiscal 2020. And also that will reduce the local match from 33% to 20%. At the same time, we're also reducing the Z001 funds. So there's just basically the funding composition change. And then the CAT Intelligent Transportation System project, the total project cost is about $2 million. And in December, we actually did the tip amendment. We allocate these like $255,000 matched funds to this project, but they need $2 million. So we are, based on this call for project, we are contributing additional almost $800,000 to this project. And other funding sources will come from the Section 5339, which is a bus and bus replacement, and then local match from CAD. So this project actually has a combination of funding sources. So those are all the proposed TIP amendments, and as I mentioned, we need to have like 15-day public comment review and period. So we started that on February 7th, the 30th, and today is the last day. I haven't received any written comments, but I did receive some verbal comments, and the verbal comments are in support of the TCC recommendations, and we have a public hearing today.
Okay. At this time, I'm going to, since we advertise it, we will now open it up for public hearing for the amendments to the 2018-2021 Transportation Improvement Program. Is there anyone in the audience wish to make any comments? Hearing none, I will now declare this public hearing closed. Is there any question or discussion from any members of the?
I got a question. When we spoke earlier, you said that the Tybee project got turned down because it wasn't on the tip. Was that project ever on the tip prior to this?
The Tybee Marsh Control Project was awarded 301 funds back in 2014,
Right.
but the Tybee couldn't spend the money and return the funds to us, and it became part of the available funds. It was in the tip before, but since you couldn't use the funds, so it has been deleted from the tip.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Taken off the tip.
Take it off. So if you want to have a new project, apply for the funds again, we have to restart the process, reprogram it in the long-range plan and the tip.
Okay. That's what I wasn't clear on when we spoke.
Yeah.
I didn't know if it was on the tip before. All right, thank you.
We got two.
The airport, two projects were pulled because we didn't have an environmental DOT. I did find we do have Corps of Engineers approval for the path, the walkway through the marshes. So we've got that. Now, how that turns into the DOT approval, for what it's worth, we do have an environmental clearance.
Yeah, I think George mentioned the airport twin lane project and the bike lane pedestrian project. It's because they follow the airport was dealing with another federal agency. Because for the projects to be included in our TIP, we're dealing with the Federal Highway Administration. So we have to go through the GDOT process, and that is different from the federal agency. So even if they have an environmental document available, when you go through the GDOT process, it takes about like nine months to sign the project framework agreement, PFO or something. So it takes about 9 months, and then you do the environmental process. So it's just we're dealing with a different federal agency.
So we do have it, but we don't have
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's it, George. Bill?
the first, I don't have the same draft that you had up there, but the one where you were showing, I think the 2019, the one, I'm sorry, I can't keep up with all these.
This one?
But yes, the split here, you were recommending splitting that little over $1 million between the project 1 and 2.
Mm-hmm.
Were you going to give a specific split? Are you recommending a specific split, or is that something?
This is, you are requesting 155 to give you all.
First bullet at the bottom.
So this is how much you are requesting, 100,
Okay.
155?
Right. Sorry.
We give you all of it.
Right.
Yes, the rest yeah.
I'm happy with that.
Yes, the rest will go towards the top one.
I'm sorry, I missed that line at the bottom. Thank you.
Yeah. But I do want to mention, because the city really doesn't have as much experience with the GDOT process as the county, and then these two projects are actually connected. And Chatham County project is really, really ready to go because they have a awarded contract and construction will start soon. So I have coordinated with Pam. So Pam will coordinate with your project manager, Nick Daffley, probably just to tell you what to do, because the worst thing that happened to me is all these funds come back to me, and so you have to reprogram it. And I do want you to spend it. So county probably will help you to decide if you need to sign additional, like supplemental agreement with GDOT or something. They will help you in that process to make sure that you have these funds authorized by June 30th. So don't return the funds to me.
Yes, ma'am. And I think our staffs, the city and county staffs have been working to try to make sure that first phase gets done, and then we kind of
Yes.
pick up from there. So there's been some coordination.
Yes, the same thing goes to the CAT ITS project. Actually, this one, because we're using federal highway administration money, and these funds, like $637,000, needs to go through the flexing. So that means federal highway funds will be authorized by FHWA and then flex the funds to FTA before CAT can use them. So we want CAT to just pay special attention to this because we need to spend this money before we need to have the funds authorized by June 30th, 2019 as well. So CAT actually needs to coordinate with GDOT and then FTA and FHWA to make sure this happens. Because we only have like 4 months left.
So you don't want this money back?
I don't want this money back to me either. No.
Anything else? James?
Yep. When does the money actually have to be spent? When does it have to be?
You have, if the funds are, after the funds are authorized, you have about, I think it's 3 years, right? I think it's 3 years to spend the money. Yeah. But first of all, we need the funds to be authorized. Our deadline is like funding authorization. So that happens when you have, like, you already make enough progress, and then that will make GDOT feel, okay, this meets all the deadlines, and then we just authorize the funds. Yeah, but you have 3 years to spend the money.
So don't take the 3 years.
Yeah, hopefully, yeah, we don't want you to take 3 years, so.
Bring food out. It attracts ants.
Yeah.
The money going, through. Use it, it's there for them.
Yeah.
Anything else, James?
No, thank you.
Anybody else?
Just 2 quick questions, Mr. Chair. Thank you. How is something removed from the TIP? So when that project at Tybee got removed from the TIP, was that done by this board?
Yes.
Okay.
Tybee actually requested us to delete that project from the TIP.
Okay.
Yeah, because
I'm going to ask that question. I need to have a ready answer.
Yeah, because you return the funds to us, you see that we are not ready to spend it, please delete us from the TIP. That's what we did.
Okay. Second question, tangent to this, but it's not this amendment, but on the TIP as a whole, the Highway 80 project is on there in some form or fashion?
The Highway 80 projects currently are,
The bridge.
yeah, because I think in last August, we amended the right-of-way phase. That's the locally funded portion, $275,000 in fiscal 2019, amended in. And then in October, I think we amended in the additional preliminary engineering funds in fiscal 2019 as well.
Right. So it is on the TIP in some form or fashion. I know the funding for the project itself is not there, but
The construction funding is not there, but the additional PE funds and then the right-of-way funds are there.
is it moving forward?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That's what I wanted to be sure. Thank you.
Okay.
Any further discussion or questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the amendments.
So moved.
Second.
Properly moved and second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, any unreadiness? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no.
Okay, thank you.
Next, we have the adoption of the fiscal year 2020 Unified Planning and Work Program. And Ms. Wang will be talking about this as well.
Yes, I will talk about the fiscal 2020 Unified Planning Work Program. Like every agency, we have to do a budget for next year. We follow the state fiscal year. So our fiscal 2020 actually covers July 1st of this year until June 30th, 2020. So basically, the UPWP is the staff budget. So it outlines how much money we will get, and then how the money are allocated to cover the staff over here to conduct the planning process. We got two positive funds. The first part is the planning funds. That is coming from the Federal Highway Administration. The second part is coming from the Federal Transit Administration, which is 5303 funds. And both funds require match. So for the PL funds, we actually got match from membership dues, including in-kind match. For the transit funds, we got 10% help from GDOT. And then the rest will come from the 20%, the local membership dues. So if we don't spend all of this like federal dollars, and we will return it to GDOT, and GDOT will put them into a big pot, and then we can apply for those funds to fund the additional studies. Actually, we currently have two, the airport one and then the Chatham County one at I-16 at Polo Parkway. So those actually coming from this pooled funds. But we will probably spend them all together this year. And this is the funding picture. So the total funding we have is about $600,000, and part of that will be PL, part of that will be transit TR. So how do we spend that funds? Federal Highway Administration developed this template, so we need to allocate all that funds into all these work tasks. They are basically program coordination, support and administration, public involvement, data collection, and system planning. So whatever I cover, the TIP amendments, that's part of this 4.12. Staffing will cover the long-range transportation plan, that's 4.11. And we're having this meeting, that's 1.2, operations administration. And then when we purchase supplies, software, computers, and that's equipment supplies. And unified planning work program, which I'm developing, it is covered at 1.6. So basically, this is what the template is. So we need to allocate the funds to all these tasks. This table is kind of tiny, so it's just very hard to read, but it just shows how much TR, how much PL funds are allocated to each task. But I have a summary over here that shows for the administrative and service tasks, we allocated about so it's like one third split. So for the administrative service functions, we have about 35% of the total funding. And the core documents like UPWP, long-range transportation plan, transportation improvement program, that covers about 33%. And then planning analysis, so that like freight planning, bicycle pedestrian planning, congestion management process, transit paratransit planning. So that covers about 33% of the total budget. For the documentation, because we have to submit the documentation to GDOT, FHW, and FDA, there are some changes between this year and previous years. The first of all is I used the table format to correlate the planning tasks with the schedules, because FHW has these comments for several years. They want us to show on the left what you're doing, what is the schedule. So I cannot say that we're holding the CoreMPO board meetings ongoing. No, they're not satisfied. So I have to list the CoreMPO board meetings on the left, on the right, February meeting, April meeting, June meeting, August meeting. So they want specific tasks to correlate with the schedule. So we changed that to table format. And also, like I showed you before, all those tasks, about 20, and it's very, very hard to allocate specific amount to your task, to a work task that is 1 year away. So GDOT Intermodal actually decided that we need to do some consolidation. So because a lot of those tasks are really, really related. So they want us to include program coordination, operational administration, training, contracts, UPWP, community outreach, Title VI, and into transit paratransit planning. So this is what we did for the transit tasks. And then long-range plan, it will include congestion management and then bicycle and pedestrian planning, because they feed into the long-range transportation plan development. And then the transportation improvement program, because a short-range programming document, it has its own category. Also for the transit budget, for the 5303 funds, we do a funding application, grant application every year in November. And at that time, normally the next year's UPWP is not ready yet. So they decided you can use your current year UPWP, but just add an estimated transit budget for the next year, and that would suffice. So this is what we did. based on the GDOT and FHWA recommendation. So we have estimated transit budget for task transit planning, launch plan, and TIP. And in this year's UPWP, we also included discretionary TR funds at the request of CAT, and they will use the funds to purchase some software to help them conduct the public transportation. And also, Federal Highway Administration says the planning focus areas priorities are already outdated because they're already covered by the program. What is that? PBPP, performance-based planning programming. So we don't need that language anymore. So delete that section from the documentation, which we did. And we used to have 8 planning factors, but now under FAST Act we have 10 planning factors. And we used to have 2040 goals and objectives included in the UPWP. Now we are developing 2045. So we actually update the planning factors and then goals and objectives based on our current development. And then they want us to delete Appendix C, which is the out-of-dated emphasis area, and then Appendix F, which is the UPWP format. This is the development process. We started developing in October, and then we sent the draft to FHW and GDOT and the FTA in December. And then we received the comments back from FHWA and GDOT in January. So we actually incorporated the comments and sent the revised draft to TCC, CEC, and then FHWA, GDOT, FTA again. So by February 2014, I got some additional comments from FTA. So the version that you are seeing on our website, when I sent you the link, if you click on that document, it actually includes all of the comments from Federal Highway Administration, Federal Transit Administration, additional comments, and then our responses. So basically the comments so far we have received have been incorporated into the document. So the next step, so actually TCC, CEC, and ACAT, I think all endorsed the UPWP. So we're just waiting for the CoreMPO board approval. And after you approve the UPWP today, and we will just finalize the document and submit the document to the 3 agencies, and then they will get final approval, and then that will put the basis down for us to sign the contract for the planning funds and the transit grants. So the staff recommendation today is just for the MPO board to adopt the proposed fiscal year 2020 Unified Planning Work Program, and if there are any changes, and authorize us to make administrative adjustments. Any questions?
Questions, Ms. Wang? If not, I would entertain a motion that we adopt the staff report. Properly moving second. Any discussion? Hearing none. Any in readiness? Hearing none. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no.
Thank you.
Staff report is adopted.
Sorry. What is going on? Oh, see?
Now the business will go to a status report and 2045 Metropolitan Transportation Plan update. And Stephanie's going to talk about that.
Right, thank you. Mark already alluded a little bit to this in his director's report. This is just a brief update. You can see also in your staff report attached to your agenda a little bit more detail. But I just want to keep you all updated on what we've been doing behind the scenes and working a lot with TCC and the TCC working group. I don't have any materials necessarily to present today, but just again, this is just to tell you what we've been up to. So as Mark had mentioned, we've already we've been working on the model and the travel demand model. And in December, we brought forward the 2015 base model and then the 2045 do nothing model results. And those were approved by the board in December. So since then, we've been working on creating this non-financially constrained list, as Mark had talked about. So it's sort of our wish list of projects. We saw the results of that effort in our January meeting, and we looked at that with TCC. And then the next step is to take that information that we've been provided with and how those projects, how the model reacted to those projects, and start working on actually whittling it down to a constrained project list. So through March, we have 2 meetings with the TCC working group to focus on this effort, and we'll be working with them trying to whittle that down. One tool we have to do this is the travel demand model results, as I mentioned, and we also will be using a prioritization process that was developed actually with our last plan update. And I'll talk a little bit about the prioritization process now. So that was developed back with the 2040 mobility plan update, and it was intended to be able to prioritize projects. It was intended to be used with projects that were going to be new projects entering into the plan. We're not going to try to prioritize the projects that are already in the plan. Those are fine. The ones that are in the TIP or in the pipeline, those are fine. This is about new projects. So I took the prioritization process that was developed last time by actually our consultants over here, and that effort is still pretty valid. We just had to, it was based primarily on our goals that were adopted to go with the plan. Well, we know that we tweaked our goals a little bit with this current plan update. So I went in and just modified a few things so everything still matches up. But basically there were 6 categories that we looked at, or 6 goals. So I changed the language and I left my comments in to explain what the changes were in your staff report. But a lot of it really was just kind of semantics. I didn't change any content. System performance, it used to be called economic vitality. Just a few little tweaks like that still have the same intent. We combine safety and security rather than having them as 2 separate goals. They still have the same scoring categories and everything. So these are the how the prioritization process works in terms of actual what the factors we look at, and then the data source we're going to use. The intention of the prioritization process is not to be like a hugely in-depth, time-consuming, draining process. It's meant to be a nice, quick screen that we can do to prioritize projects. If we really got into it, we could spend years collecting data on all these different places, different factors. But as you can see, we really did keep. I also tweaked a little language to match performance-based planning process. Back when this was developed, we did not have the specific language that was going to be in the performance-based planning process. So a little bit of that was tweaked as well. So again, just a little bit of tweaking, but not any major changes. And so I will be running the non-constrained projects through this process to present to the TCC and talk about with TCC. And again, this is a tool that's not just because it was ranked 1 through 10 that 110, those are the order of prioritization. It's still obviously up to discussion for the experts in the room. So if you have any questions, yeah.
Can you go back and talk to me about that addition of truck traffic? Can you explain some insight into that change under system performance?
Let's see.
Looks like it's SR6.
So I added, it was more of the truck traffic was already in there, and it was just looking at taking information out of the freight plan that was developed in between the last plan update and now. So we have that information. But previously, this measure was just in a different category further down. It was in the accessibility measure, and I moved it up to system performance. So I didn't take away anything. I just moved it, relocated it. Okay, and we're looking at, I don't know why Coda was taking a look at that. We're looking at roads that have kind of what we'd consider a higher percentage of truck travel.
So just to clarify, you did not add anything or take it away. You just moved it from a different category.
Yeah, correct. Sorry.
Okay, thank you.
Any further questions, Steph?
Because we're talking about factors that weigh in on project priorities.
Yeah.
How would the Tybee Road be weighted in these factors? Because Tybee Road's an outlier here. It doesn't fit any of those things. We don't get a lot of truck traffic. we don't get a lot of daily traffic, our traffic is condensed in a 6-month period where it's extraordinarily high and puts the people at Ivy at a high risk.
If I may address that, and Stephanie talked about this a bit in her presentation, but didn't have the benefit of being here during the development of this process. But if it wasn't clear, this process is for projects that have not been started as official projects in the GDOT system. Once you have a GDOT project, this process doesn't touch you. Then your priorities are dictated by project development, schedules, and things that happen with that project specifically. This is a tool for projects that have not begun in the GDOT system yet, to suggest what the next priorities would be to move into that status. So Tybee Road, already a GDOT project, doesn't affect you.
Stephanie, an easy question on the truck traffic. You said you're tracking percentages where it's a high level of truck traffic. What do you consider high level truck traffic?
We're going to be looking at what was in the freight plan, and Waikota could probably put her on the spot, but address that a little bit better. There was.
Yeah, we have in the freight plan we have like top 20 truck percentage roadways like I-16, I-95, 021, 017. So we have the percentage, but we can also rent that by the truck volume. So we actually have that data from the GDOT database.
So you have for 516, for example,
yeah, I think
50% of the traffic is trucks. Do you have that kind of data?
Yeah, we have some. I'm not sure about 516.
I just used it as an example.
Yeah. But we do have at least I have like top 20 segments.
Can you provide that to Howard, please? Any further questions? Anything else, Stephanie?
No, we'll be back in April with more detail. Of course, we're going to be working hard in March, so we'll have more to share. And if there is any model results you'd like to see, just let me know. I'm happy to send them. They're a little hard to present here because of the level of detail and the size of the maps and everything.
Stephanie, can you share that truck traffic data as well with? Are you going to share?
Just send it to all of us.
Yeah,
sure.
Share with our group. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we'll have information reports. Roadway, first up is GDOT.
Morning. I'll go over the GDOT projects on your handout. I'll just hit some of the high points. First project's Ogeechee Road widening. Right-of-way acquisition and final design are ongoing. We held a POH back in December. F&M Parkway, final design and right-of-way acquisition is ongoing. Highway 80, Bull River and Lazaretto Creek bridges. Preliminary.
On the F&M
Sure.
Parkway.
Mm-hmm.
I was told that's been changed from a 4-lane to a 2-lane.
It is a 2-lane, typical section.
Wasn't it originally planned for 4 lanes?
Not in my time. I don't know the history behind it.
Yeah.
But then I don't think they were ever able to move forward with that because that environmental would have been part of it.
It cost. But then we did acquire the right of way for a 4-lane, did we not?
I believe we changed it. The Chatham County portion, Chatham. I'm not sure about that. Yeah, I'm not sure if they bought enough right of way to eventually 4-lane. Is that what you're?
Yeah. Carry on.
Okay. Highway 80, the Bull River and Lazaretto Creek bridges. Preliminary bridge plans have been submitted to our bridge office for review. We're working on scheduling a public information open house for late April. Brampton Road connector. Preliminary design is ongoing. PFPR comments have been addressed. The 2 I-16 projects. Notice to proceed has been given to our design build consultant. Final design is underway. 144 at 95 ramps. Construction funds have been authorized. Final plans have been submitted. State Route 25 at Savannah River and Middle River, 2 bridges. Concept's been approved. 25 at Pipe Makers. Final plans have been submitted. This actually led to construction last week. On the active side, West Bay Street widening. State Street construction's ongoing. We're working on the culvert replacement. Grange Road widening's nearly complete. They're just preparing for final inspection. The 2 Jimmy Deloach projects, clearing and grubbing drainage construction's ongoing. They're grading at the interchange. I think the southbound ramp is nearly complete. Getting ready to shift the traffic. Isles Expressway Bridge, Georgia Power reload work is ongoing, and contractors working on the vent caps. 144 widening, stage 1 construction's ongoing. Utilities are being relocated. The projects 8 and 9, the 2 resurfacing projects on 80. These are proposed to begin in the spring. Project 10, resurfacing on 25. Recon was held in October. It's scheduled to start in the spring as well. Resurface on 21. Notice to proceed was issued in January, so I should have a better start date by next meeting. The signal upgrade project, notice to proceed is forthcoming. And the last project, resurface on 204, it just let in December, so notice to proceed is forthcoming on that as well. Questions?
Larry,
Chief.
who was the apparent low bidder for State Route 25 at Pipe Makers? You know?
I do not know yet. I haven't looked at it. I know it led Friday, I think.
Oh.
The upgrades, are those including
ADA ramp
and crosswalk?
The Bay Street widening, can you give me more about the timeline in terms of how much longer the project will be under construction?
The contract runs through, I believe, the end of July.
July 2019?
Yeah, summer of 19.
Okay. So, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any further question of GDOT? Not Chatham County.
All right. We've got the handouts, so I'll just kind of go over some of the highlights. Let's see. Quaco, they did for the road widening project. They had the property owners meeting was held last night, and I heard that went well. So they'll start acquiring right away for that now. The Quaco at 17 should be started this summer, hopefully. Little Neck Road is still underway. The preliminary engineering is underway for that one. And Johnny Mercer corridor improvements, that one should go out for bid hopefully in the next couple of weeks. On the projects under construction, Truman Trail, that one, I think if they haven't started already, they're about to start on that one. And Veterans Parkway is the approach slab project is substantially complete now, as is the Berwick Boulevard at 17 improvements. Canebrake Road, they were just putting the topping down yesterday, so that one's getting close to being done. And I'm excited to say that I've given them notice to proceed to start on the Benton Boulevard extension, so they should be starting here on that one in the next couple of weeks.
Any questions? City of Savannah. Effingham County. Is anybody here from Effingham? Anybody from Richmond Hill? Pooler? No, Garden City is represented.
Yes, we're working with DOT traffic folks in Jessup as well as up in Atlanta for some pedestrian safety improvements on Highway 21 corridor, especially in and around Groves High School, that we hope to be rolling out various different improvements over the next 6 months or so to improve pedestrian safety in the
Oh, Wentworth? Anything from Tybee?
Yeah, just a lot going on at Tybee, but as always, the mayor wanted me to just request with the board to is if there was a response to his concerns he raised over safety on the road at the last board meeting. We know that the project's on the tip for the right-of-way acquisition and engineering, but it has not been funded as a project yet. And he just wanted to continue to press on that and express his how important that is to Tybee to this point. That's it.
Thunderbolt? Bloomingdale? Brandenburg? Savannah Airport?
Yes, sir. Been out there lately. You've seen there's lots of construction on the way. We're expanding the south side ramp to make room for the next project, which is the 4-gate extension of the concourse. That's under design. The ramp's under construction, but the concourse expansions under design. Also, our international arrivals terminal is wrapping up. That'll be open in April. We are building a TSA grant to put in an inline bag screening system in the basement. We're doing that for them. That's about to wrap up. That'll help move faster. And on the other side, Gulfstream is building a new hangar where the old terminal building used to be. That's well along. That's all.
Any questions of Joey? Anybody here from the Georgia Ports Authority? Chatham Area Transit Authority?
Good morning. Just a quick update on Let's Go, our route redesign initiative. We just finished with phase 1 of community engagement. In about 6 weeks, we'll be getting back our 2 route concepts and about to start on phase 2, which will last for about a month.
Any questions of Kat? Thank you. Hinesville.
Hey, good morning, everyone. We're also going through a lot of the same processes as the CoreMPO is. We have retained a consultant to assist in our development of our long-range transportation plan, the MTP. Currently, we're setting up a stakeholders committee to assist with us in that. We've recently amended our TIP and MTP to include the 2019 safety numbers. And we are also close to submitting our UPWP to our partners in Atlanta. So.
Any questions? Thank you. Well, country, Jim?
Nothing really new and major. Of course, we're getting ready to do our update of both our UPWP and LRTP. That seems to be a common thread. Most interest, I think, this organization is the fact that the widening of US 17 is getting ready. If you've been over, you can see the utilities, people used to call it SCE&G, now it's Dominion Power, is out there doing whatever they have to do to make sure that the services are not interrupted and so on. So that is going to construction will be starting this calendar year. And the planning work on Interstate 95 widening is getting ready to start. So those are the two main things that will affect this part of Georgia.
Okay, before you go, where they plan on adding the 2 new lanes, on the west side of 17 or the east side? I see them working now on the east side, but you say that's the utility folk?
That's the utility people, because I think from
I've
haven't
seen them
seen
working on the west side early on.
I haven't seen detailed drawings. It's going to be on both sides, because neither side really has a lot of space.
So you're talking about adding a lane on each side?
Yeah. And there will be a bike lane in there too. And eventually what we're hoping is that there'll be a bicycle pedestrian system on a boardwalk further inland afterwards, or further toward the water. So, but that's definitely a very long-term prospect. And as you know, the bridge issue, adding the 2 lanes, was a matter of negotiation between GDOT and SCDOT, and that's been apparently solved.
And I was going to, I'll give you a quarter if you ask them at those meetings, kind of how the status of that's coming. Because I think we signed the paperwork, but I think we're kind of waiting for their share of some money. I'm not officially saying it. If you want to kind of help, maybe you'll talk to you after the meeting.
Yeah.
Bring it up. And
I gather they were still waiting for signatures.
There's folks from this body, I think we did a TIP amendment to move it out. One of those phase out because
it'll be done toward the end. It's not a first phase or first step of the.
I might just call you every once in a while. See
okay, that's probably a good plan.
Thank you.
I've been discussing our internal our 2 commissions and things like that.
Okay. Is there anyone in the audience wish to make any comments? Public comments? And the next meeting is scheduled for Wednesday, April 24th at 10 o'clock. And staff had reached out and had planned to have it at the Chatham Area Transit Authority, because I think this room is under renovation in April. And I wanted to sort of give an opinion from the group to see if you all think that's a good location. If not, I suggest to staff that perhaps we could reach out to Garden City to see if we could hold it at their facilities on April, to see if that would be a better location, or if Gwinnett's okay.
Bill? For the CAT facility, were you thinking of the multimodal center, the boardroom at multimodal? Or
now we were talking on Gwinnett. Which
there's room there. I was
the central multi-purpose room.
Right. Yeah, there's room there. I was concerned about the other not being big enough. I like the idea of getting out of town.
I do too, except we have court that day. Municipal court is on Wednesdays. So that
is on Wednesdays.
Okay. Yeah, that'd be a logistical problem.
I'm not sure CAT has the, I mean, we would love to have you. I'm not sure we have a facility like this in our conference room that would be as productive.
They've got on here the old courthouse at the commission room.
Yeah, we were going to get to that next.
Oh, okay.
And that's the other option I asked Mark to look at, and I think you looked at that.
It is available.
Okay. So your preference would be going to the county commission meeting room, Gwinnett. So I guess if there's no objection, we'll just do it at the county commission meeting room. At least you will have the ability to do projections and all that in there. Okay.
You're going to have more facilities there for recording and that sort of thing than you're going to have.
CAT, it's really just a training room. It's about the size is okay, but it doesn't have a lot of functionality for you, in my opinion. But like I said, you're welcome to come if you'd like.
All right. So we'll do it at the Chatham County Commission meeting room. And okay, and that will be our next meeting. The other non-agenda informational item that Mark and I discussed, and was a request support for U.S. Bike Route 1 designation. And you want to say anything about that, Mark? Or
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I can follow that because I contacted CRC.
okay,
They sent the request letter to all the jurisdictions, Taipei City, Savannah, Garden City. They just said they didn't have any response, so they enlisted our help, inform you, so that you can sign this letter for them. So I see Taipei here, Garden City, City of Savannah, so all here. Then the Chatham County. So they actually want the city managers or the county commission or county managers to sign the letter. So they already sent you the.
They did hear back from us, CRC, and we are adopting the resolution on Monday night of next week.
No, I did speak to Jackie about that a week or two ago.
and I saw the letter. I ignored it, but in it works different in different areas, and in the county, I would need to sign the letter, not the county manager. So, and I haven't the resolution. I haven't decided to put it on the agenda. I want to know if there's any financial obligation that we're committing to.
Depends which version of the resolution you adopt. Because there was some financial obligations that were part of one version, and we were able to
and that's
get approval to edit those out, and we're supporting it, but not agreeing for long-term financial assistance.
Yeah, that was my reservation about it.
And this is just a request to endorse the naming, right? Not the route. Assume the route is already done.
The route is already done.
So the only thing this is asking for, aside from possibly funding, is just to agree to support the naming.
Which is not to say that we might not be able to reach out to funding later date. Sure. Crafting any resolution, you might be specific, which is what we did. Right. At a minimum, I would think things like signage, maintenance, perhaps replacing storm grates that are bicycle friendly, or keeping streets swept. All kinds of things could be connected to that. Could be. So,
Is there anything else that anybody wish to discuss at this time or bring before the board? If not, we'll meet in April 24th. We'll be in the county commission meeting room. If there's nothing else, then we stand adjourned.